Big Brother 28, episode 18 recap, I believe this should be. So, we're recapping the veto episode. This is week number 5, and yeah, Literal TV, we're going to do recaps of every episode. Subscribe if you want those coming out every episode, like 20 minutes after. So, we start this episode off. Nominations have just happened. Obviously, Lala's head of household, and her nominees were Hayley, Chuck, and Barrett. Last minute change. And this is a very interesting week because the dynamics are so odd. Because Lala comes into this week saying, I'm going to nominate Camus. And now she's basically doing what Camus wants. And I've seen some kind of discourse on the idea of Camus turning so hard on his other Red Corner people. I'm really impressed by it. I think them suspecting him as having flipped his vote is such a sign that they're not going to trust him this whole game. And they'll use him as a number. I don't think he had to do it here, but I think it is good to make that heel turn now and make connections elsewhere, because Camus had a legendary week. I'm going to be real. I was not a Camus fan going into this week. I like moments of it. I thought it was good TV. I'm low-key on the Camus train now. Like, it's bad. But anyway, he's had a really good week. And you see him celebrating with Lala not long after the ceremony. It's like, what is going on? Lala's not had a great head of household, but it's been fine. I don't really know what a good head of household would be. Something that really highlights Lala's game for me this week is the talk with Chuck that happens, because it's very specific in how, first up, Chuck and Lala both not playing very good games. Lala essentially went into this week being like, I'm going to do whatever Taylor wants. Doesn't do what Taylor wants, so it's like, I don't even know what she was doing there. And Chuck is just doing what Hayley wants, his mommy Hayley. So, yeah, and this conversation is so awkward because Chuck doesn't respect Lala as a player, which, like, okay, fair, Lala isn't really doing a lot, but neither's Chuck. So, Chuck's like, I'm pissed in DI in, like, the most, like, monotone way possible. I've never seen someone act mad in Diary Room in such a bored way. He's like, I'm so mad, I'm gonna get revenge, like, this whole time. And meanwhile, he's going to Lala and he's like, Lala, I think you're playing dumb. You're playing quite a dumb game. And she's like, maybe that's part of my game. That's not part of Lala's game. Lala doesn't really have a game. Like, I don't think Lala does have a game. I actually agree with Chuck here. But Chuck also looks dumb because Chuck's not playing a good game either. And a lot of this episode also rolls around the discourse of the vote. We get some foreshadowing that the vote is going to be a big topic, because obviously there was a flipped vote onto Lyric. And Angela's paranoid that the vote flip is going to get out that it was her and Dee rather than either of Yash, Chuck, or Camus that flipped. And she was like, I was doing such a good job of lying. No, you weren't, because you shouldn't have lied. This was a bad place to lie. It's very rare someone gets away with lying about who they voted. I think it's good TV, and Angela does give us good TV this episode, but it's dumb. There's a very rare case where it really works out for someone. The best example I can think of, Andy, Big Brother 15. But you really need to be in a spot where you have the exact amount of votes and the exact deniability of someone else's vote for it to work. And it worked for a little bit. But then Angela just crumbles, and she isn't good at this game in that regard. She is a passable player at times, but that's just because she's a vet. She's a vet in a house of newbies. And she's getting carried by Dee and Devons. Mainly Dee. But yeah. And we end up leading to this confrontation with Angela and Hayley, and they're just like, Angela's just going off at her. It really isn't a good look for Angela. And I'm saying this as Hayley does not look good this week at all, because Hayley's always getting in these little tiffs this week, because Hayley's such a hater. It's like, it's funny because she gets like humbled and stuff, like by Lala and by Angela, but she's such a hater, and she like sits there, like she said about Jason, she was like, I'm gonna go off if he bangs those pots and pans next to my head again. He bangs the pots and pans next to my head, and she just like, Like, Haley is such a shit talker. She's always calling women bitches, which, hey, I could never approve of that. And she's just always going off. And then when she's with someone to their face, she kind of backs down. And also, I loved that Cam who was like, you know what? I'm going to get Angela. Like, he kind of bragged about it in the house, which was a bit messy. It was like low-key, like I don't really think that's a good move. It was just like what Jason did, but less of an extreme, because it was like he was making Angela get like pissed off because he knows how Angela is, rather than like, you know, like lying about some like deep emotional bond. But the thing is with that is I don't really see a problem with you like getting people fired up emotionally. I think that is part of the game. You want there to be, also just for good TV purposes, you want there to be confrontations. Like, I feel like if I was in there, I'll be like, I'll look you in a stir the pot a little bit. I feel like everyone would. And Camo is giving good TV. I feel like I have to be on the Camo Defense League a little bit today, because I think there's a mixed opinion of him. Some people really like him. Some people really don't like him. I can separate his personal stuff. I've always had to say that on these recaps, because I feel like it's very relevant that I don't ignore that and I don't agree with that. But I can separate that and separate those two views. Just like, you know, if someone's playing a character on a show, you can separate that. It's harder on reality TV. If someone is a complete piece of shit, it's different. I think he's just someone with some very bad takes and some very gross views, rather than being yeah. Anyway, let's move on. It's not relevant right now. So we get a lot of, honestly, this is a very great episode. We see the end of the and I was very sleepy, but I was locked in on this episode. We get the end of the Adam and Eve punishment, which Drew got another diary room being like, I don't mind this punishment. Like, oh my god, Drew, bro, he's so damn bad for Melody. Good for him though. I love Drew. And speaking of Drew and Melody and Mallory, adding Barrett, you got the FAP Alliance forming, which was on the feeds called the Fuck Ass People, which I'm glad that wasn't stuck with. I'm glad, honestly. But also, for American people, like, it might be as bad as the Red Corner. No, I think the Red Corner is actually a smart name, if not for the MAGA link. But yeah, we get this group, and calling an alliance FAP is insane. Like, does this not mean the same? Because I'm British. FAP in the UK means like nut, essentially. Imagine there was an alliance called like Juicy Nut. You know, like, that wouldn't really run in the US. I don't know that. But yeah, and well, you know, we get a lot in this episode. We also have the veto. So it's the same comp from last season, which Keanu won and told Ava, I believe, Ava Prompt. And that was an iconic moment, and I see why they brought it back. I like comps where they knock people out one by one, but they've done two this season of that, like, in terms of the vetoes, where like it's like played in rounds, like 1v1s. And I feel as if they didn't need to be two vetoes. We could have had the knockout head of household. I think that would be fun, especially at this point in the game. There's a lot of fun dynamics in this house. I think there's a lot of potential. This is like a 3-way split house, and I think that's so cool. So we go first round. We have Camu versus Chuck. Now, the Red Corner people are thinking, oh, Camu is going to use the veto on us. And so Haley's saying, well, before the veto, she said, I won't use the veto on myself if I'm on the block, because I don't want Camu to be my replacement, which is so dumb. She tells Camu that, and Camu's just like, okay, Haley, because he's like fully turned on the Red Corner now. And oh my god, yes. Anyway, Camu beats Chuck, which this comp is a little luck based, but there's definitely strategy to it in terms of remembering. And the only real strategy perspective we get is Camu's strategy. So I think if I didn't already know the result from feeds, I would have known the ending. But yes, Camu beats Chuck, and then we have, I believe, Barrett versus D. Barrett beats D. And then it was Haley versus Lala. And who won that? I think it was Haley won that. Haley won that, yes. Haley beat Lala. And so then Camu had the fastest time in part 1. So Barrett beats Haley, and Camu beats Barrett in the end, in a very close result, which I don't know who the renom was going to be in that case. I wasn't keeping up with feeds too much this week. I've kept up like to a degree, but honestly, I've been very casual this season. I've been very kind of busy with certain things, so I don't always have time to just switch on feeds as background noise. So that's the thing. I'm just trying to keep up with the text sometimes, but had fun with this season. So we go back into the house, and there's multiple talks, but the main one I want to talk about is Camus to the red corner being like, guys, I'm not using the veto on you. And they were seething. It was bad. It was bad, but I really respect Camus, like, just being a cold player. This is the thing, it's just the kind of gameplay I enjoy to watch, is someone that will play it cold, will play it bold, and just not be scared to play a very selfish game. A selfish game where you have people saying, oh, he's such a good guy, he's just this good Christian guy. Also, Dee tells Camus about her power, as well as telling Devons, which I do agree she should have told Devons. She should have told Devons as soon as she got it, though, because now it looks a little weird that she tried to hide it, as she was saying, oh, I want to separate my game from Devons, because I only got final 2 with him, but like, I don't really understand now what the like, waiting to tell him was like, because Devon's knew. He was like, you must have a power, because like all the icons got voted in and you haven't had a punishment. So yeah, it made sense. And anyway, Camus is not using the veto, but Camus being told about Dee's power is insane. Like, she's like, I wasn't planning it, but it just felt right. He has some crazy mist over Dee. A lot of people on feed are saying Dee has a crush on Camus. I mean, listen, Dee usually has a showmance on every show she's on. No shame. I mean, obviously, nothing wrong with flirting on reality TV. It's just for fun. But I don't know, if she's throwing her game over that, she is a great player in these games. And for that to happen would be pretty sad. But Camus missed. He also has Taylor, but I don't know if that's a crush. I don't think that's a crush. I think that's just something more where she's like, he's such a good guy, and I find it crazy how like positive these people are about him, because he is playing a very sneaky game. He is. But yeah, we move along to the veto ceremony, where we obviously know Camus isn't using it. There isn't really much doubt. Obviously, there's the idea of, oh, he's red corner, but he wasn't using it. And he's pretty much used this week to, sorry for yawning mid-sentence on a recap, I'm trying to be formal. He has pretty much used this week to distance himself from that group, so he was not going to use it. And I do think it's the right play, honestly. He either goes down with a sinking ship, or he goes on the lifeboat, gets onto the Titanic. That is the rest of the Big Brother house, because he is in a good middle spot right now. And for sure, not everyone's going to trust him, but he's getting inroads with people. So yeah, that's my recap. This is a good episode. This is a good-ass episode. This might be my favourite episode of the season, because while I would say the fight wasn't the best moment, there were so many little moments that was so fun in there. And I think the comp was fine. It wasn't too long. And, I think some comps, not very fun to watch. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching this recap. It's been really fun doing these. This Saturday, episode 5 of a 6-episode reality TV series here on Literal TV comes out. It's a competitive reality show like Big Brother and Survivor, where we edit it. We have people that are my friends and people that are like viewers of the channel, so like that, come along, they play. And I'm excited. We're going to crown the winner in just over a week. Anyway, thank you all for watching this recap. Subscribe for others. Comment down below who you're rooting for on this season, and I'll see you.